Hello, Lobo fans. Welcome back inside the Lobo Lounge. I'm your host, Robert Portnoy. We're privileged to bring in the Associate Director for Compliance, the Associate Athletic Director for Compliance at the University of New Mexico, Eric Schultz. Schultz, how are you this morning?
Good. Just like I told you before, living the dream out here on the west side.
So it looks like, these are the vagaries of, being in home. It looks like you're sharing some classroom space there with us this morning. Is that what that's going on?
Yeah, this is my wife works for a VIP Kid. This is her classroom that I've basically commandeered. I work from 8 to 5, 8 to 6 during the day, and then she actually gets up about 3 or 4 a.m. and teaches Chinese students English in the morning. So we spend a lot of time working through this personal space that we share.
Awesome. We'll get to the ABCs at the finish of our little Zoom conversation here. So compliance is a big word, and I think sometimes it's a scary word to Lobo fans. Explain what that actually means and sort of the gist of what you do at UNM.
The way I've always kind of looked at it is I've looked at it like a classroom teacher. We do a lot of education, and then sometimes if there's an issue, you have a little classroom discipline. But now that I've had to work with my children and see what teachers actually do in the classroom, I don't know if I want any part of comparison to that. I think I do a lot of education, and we do have to do some enforcement, but a lot of those are issues that coaches make mistakes, students make mistakes, and you work through them. It's very rare, and I say very rare, that it's an issue that you can't work yourself out of. And that's part of the process. Now there's major infractions that you see in the news and all over town, in the national news. Those are issues that happen, and sometimes those happen and you work through them. But it's majority of my job literally is I send a lot of emails, a lot of education, and then just being a resource for our student athletes, our coaches and staff. I probably get texts all day, and it's a student athlete or a staff member just asking for clarification. Just yesterday, Frank emailed me and asked a quick question about what we can do when we're doing student athletes doing Instagram takeovers and stuff like that. So it's little stuff like that you continually test your knowledge of what you can remember. And sometimes it takes a little longer to get the answer, but most of everyone is understanding with it. It's just sometimes it's a tight timeline, so you got to get an answer quicker than normal.
So one of the big things is getting student athletes eligible. And I bet you probably have, dealing with deadlines, some amazing stories of working to get paperwork and grades and, other types of things into the compliance office on time to get it cleared, that the quote unquote clearinghouse to get a student athlete eligible.
The thing that we do most of the time is, our academic advisors, they're unbelievable. They work with these student athletes 8 to 5 and even longer than that now. I mean, I talked to an advisor this morning. She was on the phone until 10 o'clock last night. They really are the meat and potatoes of eligibility and helping student athletes be successful in the classroom. Where my part comes in is we've got to get all this paperwork signed. When I was at a previous institution, we didn't have the digital signing, so I'd be going to youth softball games and getting our faculty athletics rep to sign forms in the back of his SUV while his daughters are playing softball. Here we email stuff around real quick, but it's a lot of paperwork, a lot of deadlines, and making sure that you don't miss something, because as soon as you miss some sort of deadline, there is a financial penalty that comes from the NCAA, and Eddie doesn't appreciate me having to go to tell him that we screwed up and we owe the NCAA money. It's not a comfortable conversation to have, and nobody wants to be giving the NCAA money for violations when you can avoid them 99% of the time.
Eric Schultz is with us. He's the Associate Athletic Director for Compliance at University of New Mexico. And I want to know how a Wisconsin kid makes his way to Albuquerque. I looked at your career bio, Eric, and you sort of bounced back and forth between the Midwest and the mountain region. You spent some time at Northern Colorado, mixed in between a couple of institutions out there in the Midwest, but you're a Wisconsin kid and you're in the Southwest now. How did that all come about?
Well, quite honestly, when I was an undergrad, I needed to go to grad school, and I was kind of a homebody, I guess you'd say. And St. Louis, there's a school, SIUE, offered me a position, and they were D2 at the time and in the same conference that I actually was an athlete in. So I knew of the school and I was at the school before, so I went there for 2 years, met my wife. We moved to Colorado because, quite honestly, I didn't have football experience. So getting a job in college athletics without football experience is near impossible. University of Northern Colorado took a chance on me, and I went there. And then I was there for 3 years, went to EIU for 5. And then this job opened up, and I had a connection to Janice through a different connection. Came out here, and we love it. My wife's from Tucson. My in-laws live 5.5, 6 hours away. And I don't want to be cold. That's the one thing. I don't think I ever want to live in the cold weather again. So I think the Southwest might be a long-term home for me.
I want you to take 1 second here as a final question to brag about your time as a track decathlete as an undergrad.
I was a Division II track athlete. I was all conference in the decathlon. I hold some school records. I think I still hold it in the javelin. When I left, I had 2 or 3 other school records, but my track and field career is not the highlight of my life by any means, but it's definitely something that shaped who I was. I only ran track in high school, I think, for 2 years. I was a football player, and I went out for track to get faster. And then it just so happened that I became decent enough for college to offer me a scholarship to go run track in college.
Well, Eric, stay safe, stay healthy. Those 3 boys, you keep them out of harm's way as well while you're homeschooling them. And thanks for being with us here in the Lobo Lounge.
Not a problem. Thanks, Rob.
There's Eric Schultz, Associate Athletic Director for Compliance at UNM. I'm Robert Portnoy. Till next time, go Lobos.